Chapter 71. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Is this the legendary human emperor body, that the two demon kings, one fat and one skinny, were taken aback? King Peng wasn't just any demon king, his blood was extraordinary, and his fighting power was amazing. He ranked in the top 10 in overall strength among all the demon kings in the demon god empire. That's why the demon king entrusted him with such an important task, and why they were following his lead. Demons aren't like humans, they don't deal in empty words. They respect strength above all else. Strength earns you the right to speak and the respect of others, yet, in such a short time, before they could even react, King Peng had already lost. While they saw that King Peng's carelessness played a major role, the strength of this human emperor body still far exceeded their expectations. He'd clearly just broken through to the heavenly human realm, but he was terrifyingly strong, not at all like a newbie. They exchanged a look, instantly understanding each other. They'd have to team up to take down Jiang Hao, one-on-one. They didn't stand a chance, but two-on-one. They were confident. Just then, a cold voice cut through the air from the ground. Don't interfere. Today. I'm killing him myself. A black shadow shot into the sky. It was King Peng, who Jiang Hao had just blasted into the ground. He looked a mess, but he wasn't seriously hurt, just furious. His aura was incredibly violent, and his eyes burned with a chilling rage. Jiang Hao's expression didn't change. He wasn't surprised to see King Peng again. The guy was a demon king, after all, at the top of the food chain, and demons are tougher and more durable than humans. If he'd killed him in a few moves, he'd have suspected he was faking it. Kill me? Jiang Hao chuckled, giving him a contemptuous look. You and what army? Those words, combined with Jiang Hao's disdain, pushed King Peng's hatred to the max. It completely ignited his already simmering rage. He couldn't hold back any longer. Go to hell! With a roar, he attacked with everything he had, no words spared. He unleashed a storm of violent demonic energy at Jiang Hao, but Jiang Hao didn't flinch. His combat instincts kicked into high gear, and he calmly used the spirit fox body movement, a technique he'd learned recently. He turned into an agile fox, dodging and weaving in mid-air, easily avoiding King Peng's repeated attacks. King Peng attacked relentlessly, but couldn't land a single blow. Jiang Hao was as slippery as an eel, driving him insane. Human, all you do is hide. Aren't you supposed to be a dignified human emperor? Face me head-on, King Peng snarled. As you wish. Jiang Hao's eyes flashed. He seized an opening and suddenly lunged at King Peng. A blazing, flaming palm struck without warning. King Peng's eyes widened in fear, sensing the immense danger of the move. It wasn't just Jiang Hao's long-awaited killer move, it also contained the raw power of the law of fire. That's right, though he'd just broken through, Jiang Hao had already grasped a hint of the power of law. It wasn't that he was some kind of genius. It was the inherent advantage of the human emperor body. The human emperor body is also known as the body of the 5 elements and 5 virtues. When Jiang Hao broke through to the heavenly realm, he naturally grasped the power of the 5 elements. He'd only grasped a little of each law so far, and was far from mastering them, but it had already doubled his combat power. This was one of the reasons why Jiang Hao dared to take on the 3 demon kings. It wasn't just because the shadow demons were lurking in the dark, ready to help, while King Peng was strong. He hadn't grasped the power of law. Few heavenly realm powerhouses successfully grasp the power of law. Aside from the advantages of special talents like the human king body and the human emperor body, only old monsters who'd been in this realm for ages, and some geniuses, could manage it. And the human emperor body lived up to its legendary reputation. Not only did Jiang Hao grasp the power of law as soon as he broke through, but he also grasped a full 5 kinds. Among them, the law of fire was known for its violence. Under its influence, the attack power of the flaming palm was terrifying. Even though King Peng reacted quickly, he couldn't resist and was badly hurt instantly. This time, King Peng refused to admit defeat. He roared and held on. The next second, a wave of demonic energy erupted, and he transformed into a terrifying demon rock, several yards long. Go to hell! The demon rock spoke, its eyes full of murderous intent. Before, when he said he wanted to kill Jiang Hao, it was just talk. Now, he was completely enraged, and he truly wanted to kill Jiang Hao. Without hesitation, he unleashed his innate magical power. As his wings beat, a black gale swept wildly, carrying lethal power like countless swords, roaring toward Jiang Hao like a tidal wave. Jiang Hao's eyes narrowed. Facing the raging demon rock, he didn't dare underestimate it. He activated the power of the law of earth and channeled energy to create a layer of earth-yellow shields to protect himself, but Jiang Hao wasn't one to just defend. With his solid foundation, he could multitask. He resisted the demon rock's furious attack while summoning his own Dharma image. The power of heaven and earth gathered, and in a flash, a towering Dharma image formed behind Jiang Hao. The size of the Dharma image hadn't increased much, but its solidity was far greater than it had been in the Dharma image realm. Besides, a few hundred feet was already huge, compared to it. The demon rock looked like a little sparrow. Before the demon rock could dodge, two huge hands, like pillars of the sky, slammed down. The demon rock finally panicked and frantically flapped its wings to escape. The other two demon kings realized something was wrong. They couldn't ignore King Peng's orders any longer and shouted, "Stop!" They rushed toward them, but they were too late. Before they could stop it, the two huge hands grabbed the demon rock's wings. They pulled hard in opposite directions. Rip, star, like tearing cloth. The demon rock's wings were torn off, blood rained down, and screams echoed. Chapter 72. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing the bloodbath, the two demon kings riding hard to the scene froze. It wasn't like they hadn't seen gore before. On the contrary, they were both accustomed to life and death. They'd seen far worse. What shocked them was who was getting the beatdown. This was Peng King, after all. Noble blood and serious power. Even in the massive demon god empire, he was a top-tier powerhouse. But now, this elite demon was having his wings ripped off by a human, treated like a puppet toy. The sight was so shocking, so brutal, that they couldn't wrap their heads around it. Still, unbelievable or not, the evidence was right there, and they had to accept it. Rage soon bubbled up inside them. A measly human treating a demon clan leader like this? And it was happening right under their noses, the ultimate insult and challenge. Human, you've got a death wish. I'm going to crush your skull today. That the two demon kings roared, eyes burning with murderous intent. Like Peng King before them, they completely forgot the demon king's orders. One thing filled their minds, that human had to die. If they didn't kill him, they couldn't let it go. In a heartbeat, the two demon kings charged Jiang Hao, flanking him from left and right. They might not have been as strong as Peng King, but they were demon king level elites. Even a weak demon king wasn't a pushover, and these two were definitely far from weak. Terrifying demonic power exploded, and a barrage of nasty combat moves came flying, attacking from both sides. They left Jiang Hao no room to dodge. Just then, the shadow demon, lurking in the dark, pounced without warning. Under the moonlight, it snared the two demons' shadows, stopping them dead in their tracks, even disrupting the energy flow in their bodies. For a moment, it was like they'd been hit with a freeze spell. Locked in place, the shadow demon wasn't much in a straight-up fight, but it was second to none when it came to dirty tricks. Of course, it couldn't completely control two demon king-level fighters. Right now, it was just exploiting their lack of preparation to buy a little time, but that little bit of time was all Jiang Hao needed. He didn't waste time on the demon kings in good condition. Instead, he focused on the critically wounded Peng King. Even with his wings ripped off, Peng King wasn't dead yet, and he was still fighting. Given enough time, he might even recover. That's how tough demon kings were. Jiang Hao wasn't about to give him that chance. Finishing him off while he was down was the only smart move. Letting a tiger go back to the mountain or leaving trouble behind was for fools. If you start something, you finish it. Jiang Hao's eyes turned cold. He controlled the Dharma image, clenched its fists, and brought them crashing down on Peng King. Given the Dharma image's massive size, those two fists packed the punch of a couple of mountains falling. Peng King, already busted up and half crippled, was crushed. How could he resist that kind of raw power? No. In the demon king's stunned disbelief, Jiang Hao's magic image beat the renowned Peng King to a pulp. Blood and guts flew everywhere. There wasn't a single piece left. He was dead, no doubt about it. With the biggest threat neutralized, Jiang Hao finally turned his attention to the other two demon kings. Facing Jiang Hao's icy glare, the raging demon kings felt like they'd been doused with ice water, and they woke up fast. If King Peng could be pulverized in a heartbeat, how could they possibly stand a chance against this human? 2-on-1, they might have had a shot, but the problem was, that freaky demon that tripped them up was clearly on Jiang Hao's side, facing a demon king-level monster and Jiang Hao, they'd be crushed, having risen to the rank of demon king, they weren't idiots. They looked at each other and made the same decision. Let's get out of here. Revenge is a dish best served cold. And demons take revenge from morning till night. Once they got back to the demon god empire and told the demon king, they'd get payback. Even if he was a human emperor, the full might of the demon god empire would crush him. The two demon kings understood each other perfectly. They darted into the woods, splitting up in completely different directions. One turned into a giant pig demon, charging like a tank, the other transformed into an agile monkey demon, swinging through the trees. Jiang Hao nodded to the shadow demon, signaling it to go after the monkey. He himself floated in mid-air, locking his gaze on the pig demon crashing through the forest. As he did, Jiang Hao's aura climbed steadily, peaking in an instant. At the same time, he channeled all the Yuan Qi in his body. Golden energy flashed in his hands, condensing into a terrifying golden spear. That spear was the embodiment of his most devastating attack. He hurled it with all his strength. It became a bolt of golden lightning. It sliced through the air, piercing the pig demon and pinning it to the ground. The pig demon wasn't going to die right away, but the law's power would slowly drain its life, and death was only a matter of time. Then Jiang Hao caught up with the monkey demon, who was tangled up with the shadow demon. Seeing Jiang Hao appear, the monkey demon understood what was happening. Despair flickered in his eyes. He didn't run or surrender, but asked, "Before I die, can you at least tell me who you are?" But even if he was going to die, he deserved to know the truth. Jiang Hao understood. Seeing the monkey demon's fatalistic gaze, he hesitated, then spoke, "The one who killed you." Jiang Hao. Jiang Hao, that the monkey demon muttered the name, trying to sear it into his memory. If he got another life, he'd run at the sight of it, but then, he seemed to remember something. His eyes snapped open. "Are you Jiang Hao, the Duke of Wei?" Jiang Hao nodded, expressionless. The monkey demon's face changed colors. He thought of his suggestion from moments ago and King Peng's condescending charity. Now, seeing how things turned out, he felt a wave of irony. "So you're Duke Wei, Jiang Hao. I guess we never stood a chance." Who would have thought that the Duke of Wei, who everyone thought was weak, actually had the rare human emperor body? "Ha ha ha, this is ridiculous. You fooled everyone, not just us." He laughed, a mix of self-deprecation and acceptance, then unleashed all of his demonic power. He charged Jiang Hao. An hour later, his neck snapped, his body lost all vitality, and he fell to the ground. So, all three demon kings perished at Jiang Hao's hands. Chapter 73. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Your Majesty. King Peng's soul lamp, it's gone out. The burly guard responsible for the ancestral temple burst into the demon king's court with the terrible news. The demon king, seated amidst the palace's exotic decor, was engrossed in a book. At the guard's words, the book slipped from his grasp, hitting the floor unnoticed as shock washed over his face. Unlike the young and vibrant empress of the great Zhou dynasty, the demon king of the demon god empire was visibly aged, his hair completely gray. Demons typically lived longer than humans, and a powerful demon like him should have enjoyed an exceptionally extended lifespan. Yet, his advanced age was obvious, far beyond what any human could imagine. King Peng, with his strength? How could this be? A flicker of grief crossed the demon king's eyes as he muttered in disbelief. He knew King Peng's capabilities intimately, which was why he'd entrusted him with such a crucial mission. Never had he anticipated such a fatal outcome. Infiltrating the Great Zhou was undeniably dangerous, but the empire was rife with internal strife and power struggles. King Peng should have been able to act with caution, avoid direct confrontation with large groups of powerful enemies, and retreat swiftly after completing his objective. Besides, King Peng possessed the blood of the demon Peng, granting him the ability to take to the skies and escape. Few could hope to catch him. How could he have failed to escape this time? Of course, the demon king couldn't fathom that King Peng hadn't simply chosen not to escape, but couldn't. That someone had torn his wings off, leaving him as helpless as a person with severed legs. The news struck him like a thunderbolt. Before he could process the implications, two more alarming reports arrived in rapid succession. Your Majesty, the Pig King's soul lamp is extinguished. Your Majesty, the Monkey King's soul lamp is also extinguished. The Demon King's mouth opened, but no words came out. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes, his hands trembling, betraying his inner turmoil. Dead, all dead. Never could he have imagined losing all three Demon Kings sent to the Great Show. Losing King Peng alone would have been a blow, but the simultaneous demise of all three represented a devastating loss for the entire Demon God Empire. Demons may live longer, but their progression and breakthroughs were far more challenging than those of humans. Every Demon King-level warrior served as a critical pillar of the Demon God Empire. To lose three at once, especially Demon Kings under the direct command of the Demon King's court, was enough to break the Demon King's heart. Unlike the unified Great Show, the Demon God Empire was a coalition of the Demon King's court and various demon tribes, existing in a state of loose cooperation. While the Demon King's court held the most power, the other tribes were far from weak. Moreover, demons were notoriously quick-tempered and prone to infighting. They were always itching for a fight, cared little for peaceful pursuits, and often disregarded the orders of the Demon King's court. The current Demon King's long and respected rule had maintained a semblance of order. Otherwise, the Demon God Empire would have been even more chaotic than the Great Show, but now, with this catastrophic loss, he couldn't act unilaterally. He immediately summoned a council of Demon Kings to discuss the matter. What? King Peng is dead. He's a bird. He can fly. No human could ever catch him. Are you kidding me? I don't believe it. And Pig King? That guy's a tank. I've hacked at him dozens of times, and he just shrugs it off. Who could possibly kill him? Same with Monkey King. He's as agile as, well, a monkey. It's hard enough to catch him, let alone kill him. How could he go down so easily? The other Demon Kings struggled to accept the news. The Demon King had indeed chosen the three carefully, each possessing unique strengths. King Peng's flight, King Pig's resilience, and King Monkey's agility formed a well-rounded team with no obvious weaknesses. Their simultaneous deaths were utterly baffling. All three soul lamps are out. They're gone. And the timing suggests they weren't picked off one by one, but killed together. To pull that off, it would take more than just one or two Heavenly Realm humans. At least 3 or 5 would have to work together. The Demon King offered his assessment, his gaze sweeping over the assembled Demon Kings. Most of those present were simple brutes, good for little more than roaring and fighting. Only a select few possessed any degree of strategic thinking, so, the Demon King focused on the Fox King, the Deer King, and a few others. Your Majesty, I suspect the Peng Kings walked into a trap set by the Great Show. That the Fox King, his eyes gleaming with intelligence, spoke first. As you said, taking down all three would require at least 3 to 5 Heavenly Realm experts, and to prevent escape, even more would be needed. They'd have to set a trap and spring it perfectly. And the only power in the Central Plains capable of such a feat is the Great Show Court. Furthermore, we haven't heard from the half-demon contact recently. I suspect he's either dead or betrayed us, tipping off the Great Show and leading them to prepare this ambush. The other Demon Kings murmured in agreement. Your Majesty, do we know who this human emperor is? That the Deer King suddenly interjected. Not yet. According to the half-demon, this human emperor only recently awakened and has been hidden, undiscovered. There's something fishy about that half-demon, that the Deer King declared with certainty, cutting the Demon King off. What do you mean? You think the human emperor is a fake? The Demon King frowned. The human emperor is real enough. We all felt the massive resonance not long ago, a clear sign that a human emperor had broken through to the Heavenly Realm. But even a gifted human emperor would need time to reach the Heavenly Realm from scratch. It's impossible to break through in just a few months, right? So, he wasn't recently awakened, as the half-demon claims. He must have awakened a long time ago. Even the Demon King had to concede the logic of the argument. Even with the human emperor's accelerated growth, it was absurd to suggest they could reach the Heavenly Realm within months of awakening. No such prodigy existed in the world. It was clear that the half-demon was hiding something, the thought of being deceived by a half-demon, leading to the death of 3 demon kings, filled the demon king with rage. He wished he could tear the traitor to shreds. Unbeknownst to him, someone had already taken care of it. The human emperor's breakthrough is a momentous event, always accompanied by celestial phenomena. And everyone knows that only the Ji clan can awaken a human emperor. That narrows the field considerably. How could he be so hard to find? So, what you're saying is, we were played, that the demon king's face darkened. Yes, it's likely been a scam from the start. The current situation is clear. The Great Zhou does have a human emperor who has awakened and reached the heavenly realm. Looking at the rising stars of the Ji family, there's only one candidate who fits the bill. The dear king paused for emphasis, then declared, the human emperor is, without a doubt, the Great Zhou Empress. Chapter 74. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The human emperor body, is that the Empress of Great Zhou? That the dear king's word sent a shockwave through the assembled demon kings. The conclusion seemed off at first, but the more they thought about it, the more it made sense. In fact, given the current situation, it seemed like the only answer. After all, the Empress of Great Zhou was a direct descendant of the Ji clan, meeting the criteria for awakening the human emperor body. She was also one of the most likely candidates, plus, she'd been a prodigy since childhood, a well-known genius. There were even rumors of strange phenomena accompanying her initial awakening. Sure, she claimed to have awakened the human king body, but who could tell the difference? Her status put her beyond scrutiny. Nobody had the access to verify anything, and the fact that she, as a young woman, became the ruler of Great Zhou was suspicious in itself. Finally, if she was the human emperor body, it explained how she could so easily mobilize the power of Great Zhou to trap the 3 Ping kings. It explained how they were wiped out without even a chance to escape. Everything clicked. The more they analyzed it, the more plausible it became. It was like a revelation, and they all bought into it completely. It all makes sense now. If it weren't for the dear king's insight, we'd still be in the dark. Humans are so sly and deceitful, not like us demons who are upfront about everything. Tell me about it. She deliberately claimed to be the human king body to throw us off. Can you believe their luck? First the human king body, then the human emperor body. They get all the breaks. So, the Empress orchestrated the whole thing to trap the Ping kings. No wonder they couldn't escape. They died horribly, and we need to avenge them. That a chorus of agreement erupted. But some still had doubts. Didn't we hear about the Empress having a breakthrough in the palace just days ago? But the human emperor body broke through to the heavenly human realm recently too. That doesn't add up. Could she have broken through twice in such a short time? Breaking through twice is impossible, but who says the person who broke through in the palace was really the Empress? Exactly. Humans are masters of deception. She could be spreading misinformation to hide her identity as the human emperor body. I agree. Forget everything else, the death of the Ping kings is the smoking gun. Who else but the Empress could have prevented their escape? That the objections were quickly shouted down. Then, all eyes turned to the demon emperor. Ultimately, his opinion was the only one that mattered. Faced with their expectant gazes, the demon emperor remained silent. Finally, he looked up and spoke slowly. I wasn't sure before, but now that you mention it, Great Zhou's situation is highly suspect. It was peaceful and prosperous just 6 months ago. How could it fall into chaos so quickly? Even if the Empress was incompetent, she couldn't ruin a country that fast, right? And Duke Weiguo was always her most trusted advisor. Their relationship was so close, I wouldn't have been surprised if they'd married. Now, the Empress has thrown him into prison. Doesn't she realize she's digging her own grave? Confusion rippled through the crowd. His points made it hard to understand what was going on. Are you saying the chaos in Great Zhou is a sham? They pressed. If so, they'd been completely played. They were already planning their takeover of the Central Plains. Not entirely. Some things can't be faked, the demon emperor said, shaking his head. A collective sigh of relief went through the room, but then the demon emperor's tone shifted, becoming grave. That's precisely what makes her so terrifying. The Empress is willing to sacrifice everything for her goals. She's playing a much bigger game. If I'm not mistaken, this is all intentional. To achieve her ultimate goal, the relief evaporated, replaced by renewed anxiety. All eyes were glued to the demon emperor. What is her goal? They demanded. She wants to emulate her ancestor, Ji, by destroying and rebuilding, using overwhelming force to control the world, forcing everyone to submit, becoming the true emperor. Then she'll use the continent's combined luck to break through to the legendary realm of immortality. The true emperor. Break through to immortality, the ambition of it was breathtaking, the very idea silenced the hall. The true emperor meant ruling the entire continent, not just the Central Plains. Like the great Zhou rulers of the past, even in the Central Plains, they faced constant resistance. There were too many powerful factions, no single dominant force, only by tearing it all down and rebuilding could they eliminate all obstacles. As for the legendary immortals, there hadn't been one in ages. As the world's life force continued to wane, the number of powerful cultivators was dwindling. Reaching immortality was considered impossible, but if the Empress succeeded in her plan, she could potentially break through using the combined luck of the continent. She already had the foundation with her human emperor body. With a little extra boost, she might actually reach that level, but that meant they would be crushed under her heel. The horror of that realization was clear on every face. We can't let her succeed. They roared in unison. The demon emperor nodded grimly. I underestimated the Empress. I thought she was just lucky to have the Duke of Weigua's talent at her disposal. Now, I see how wrong I was. This woman not only possesses incredible cultivation talent, but a mind beyond any of us. If she succeeds, our demon race will never have another chance. He stood abruptly, a terrifying aura radiating from his body, filling the hall. She's been planning this for a long time, and Great Zhou has deep roots. Our demon race can't stop her alone. We need to contact other forces. The Golden Horde of the northern grasslands, the witch tribes of the southern border, even the bald monks in the western desert. He paused, a flicker of disgust in his eyes. The Buddhist country of the western desert was the demon clan's greatest enemy. They'd fought for centuries, their hatred unquenchable, but the demon emperor swallowed his pride and focused on the bigger picture. Inform them of what we know. We must unite to stop the Empress of Great Zhou's scheme. His voice resonated with authority. Soon, his orders were carried out, and the news spread. What? The human emperor body is the Empress of Great Zhou. The revelation stunned every faction that received it. Chapter 75. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Word of the breakthrough that rocked the world got around to all the major players on the mainland pretty quickly. They were all buzzing about the human emperor body hitting that new level, but nobody had a clue who this human emperor body person actually was. They'd sent out feelers, sure, but hadn't gotten any solid intel back yet. Then boom, the demons dropped this bombshell, telling everyone it was the Great Zhou dynasty's queen. Naturally, they were all floored. Since when did the demons have such good intel? And wasn't she supposed to be a human king body? How'd she suddenly level up to emperor? Can you even do that? Everyone was automatically suspicious. Demons aren't exactly known for their reliability, you know. But this time, they were super confident. They swore this was a top-secret deal, bought with the lives of 3 demon king-level heavy hitters. They wouldn't spill the beans unless the whole continent was on the line. 3 demon kings, huh? That's more convincing than any oath. Those guys are the backbone of any force. A secret worth that much? Yeah, that's serious. So, the big shots were stuck somewhere between maybe and no way. If the demons were telling the truth, and the queen of the Great Zhou dynasty was this all-powerful human emperor, then yeah, they had a reason to sweat. After all, the Ji family founder blazed his way to emperor status over a mountain of corpses. Pretty much defined his legacy with bloodshed. If the queen was planning to follow in his footsteps, they'd probably be target number 1. Maybe they should make the first move. But first, gotta confirm the info, you know. Suddenly, everyone was scrambling, stirring up trouble all over the place. The Golden Horde up north reacted the loudest. Makes sense, right? Just like the demons, they've been secretly drooling over the Central Plains for ages. Get the national teacher in here, the Golden Horde Khan barked from his tent. Soon enough, Samo Dharma King, back from his trip to Great Zhou, showed up before the Khan. This Khan was a mountain of a man, pushing 7 feet, built like a grizzly. He was sitting on a gold throne that would have looked normal-sized if he was just a normal person, and he radiated this raw, savage power. The Golden Horde and the Demon God Empire weren't big on fancy rituals or manners. They spoke with their fists. The Khan was top dog because his fist was the biggest. Anyone who dared to challenge him ended up dead. "Greetings, Khan," Samo Dharma King said, bowing slightly. He wasn't exactly crawling, but he wasn't being disrespectful either. Hey, he was a Heaven Realm powerhouse, he'd earned it. The Khan didn't get mad. He actually smiled. "Thanks for your hard work, Imperial Master. I called you here because I need your opinion." "What is it, Khan?" "Hold your horses," the Khan said, waving him off. He tossed Samo Dharma King a report. "Read this first." Samo Dharma King was a little confused. He was all about the hardcore training, never bothered with Golden Horde politics. Even that trip to the Central Plains was just a chance to level up. Why was the Khan suddenly asking him about important stuff? But hey, no big deal to read something. The Khan saw his hesitation and just smiled. He trusted this guy more and more. Samo Dharma King was strong but didn't crave power, so he wasn't a threat. That's exactly the kind of person the Khan liked. He trusted Samo Dharma King completely. "Wait, the human emperor body is the Great Zhou Empress?" Samo Dharma King finally said, shocked. "Then what about the Duke of Wei? Is there another human emperor body out there?" That he was totally lost. It's probably true. The demons traded 3 Demon King lives for this info. "Peng King, Pig King, and Monkey King," the Golden Horde Khan said gravely. Samo Dharma King's head was spinning. He'd heard of those 3. They were major players in the Demon God Empire. If their lives were the price, then this had to be legit, but he saw Jiang Hao with the human emperor body. So, that couldn't be a lie either. What was going on? Samo Dharma King wasn't stupid. Far from it. But right now, he was stumped. The Khan thought he was just shocked by the news and didn't take it personally. He'd reacted even worse when he first saw it. "I wanted to ask what you thought of the Great Zhou Queen. You met her face to face last time you were there." Samo Dharma King frowned. What did he think of her? His first instinct was to say he didn't really remember. He'd seen her, sure, and you could maybe call it a fight. But she was just a Dharma image realm at the time. Samo Dharma King didn't exactly take her seriously. He'd been more focused on those Tiger and Feathered Guard commanders. They were worthy opponents, but the Khan was asking him straight up, so I don't know wasn't an option. Then he thought of Jiang Hao, the Duke of Wei. Yeah, that guy was a puzzle. He'd knocked Baldan, a Dharma image realm powerhouse, on his butt with a single punch while he was still in the Tiangang realm. Then he zoomed up to Heavenly Man realm in no time. Never seen anything like it. And the Queen tossed a guy like that into the heavenly prison. Suddenly, his view of the Queen clicked into focus. The Great Zhou Empress? She's terrifying. Samo Dharma King blurted out. The Khan stared at him, then mumbled, "Even you think she's terrifying? She's definitely not as simple as I thought. Maybe she's got big plans, just like the demons said." Samo Dharma King was confused. No asterisk, I just said that to be polite. "You're actually buying this?" But the Khan wasn't just buying it, he was buying it wholesale. "I was planning to march straight into the Central Plains, but now I'm thinking I should hold back. Gotta be cautious." The Khan looked up at Samo Dharma King. "How about I send you down there to help those 7 northern kings? Are you up for that, national teacher?" Samo Dharma King instinctively wanted to say no. He didn't want to put his training on hold, but then he thought of the Duke of Wei, stuck in the Great Zhou dynasty. He swallowed his refusal and said, "I'm ready to do whatever the Khan asks." The Khan beamed. "Great. With your help, taking over the Central Plains will be a piece of cake." Chapter 76. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jiang Hao had no clue that offing those 3 Pekings had set off a chain reaction back on the mainland. Turns out, the most dangerous thing is letting people's imaginations run wild. When it comes to being reliable, the demon race just doesn't cut it. It's not just hearsay, history keeps proving it over and over. History's playing on repeat, with the demon's wild thoughts pushing things in a whole new direction. Who's gonna end up in the soup this time? Your guess is as good as mine, but hey, whatever happens, Jiang Hao's washing his hands of it. Right now, he's dusted himself off, left those 3 demon kings rotting in the wilderness, and headed back to the great Zhou dynasty's capital. He'd snuck out late at night, but it was already dawn when he rolled back in. Even after months in the slammer, Wei Duke Jiang Hao was still a big name in the capital. Of course, Jiang Hao wasn't about to strut around like he owned the place. He flexed his muscles a bit, tweaked his build and looks, nothing drastic, just enough to keep the average Joe from recognizing him. Then he hit up a breakfast joint and put down 28 buns, 16 rolls, 9 tea eggs, 8 fried dough sticks, 6 rice cakes, 3 bowls of tofu pudding, 4 bowls of porridge, and 5 pounds of braised beef. Yeah, that barely took the edge off. Hey, he'd been busting his butt all night. He was hungry. Finally, with the stall owner staring bug-eyed, Jiang Hao calmly paid up and bounced. Wait, where'd he get the cash? Courtesy of the 3 Pekings, of course. Jiang Hao was flat broke. If they hadn't chipped in, he'd have had Yao panhandling for him, and if it was a little embarrassing for a demon king like Yao to be begging, Jiang Hao wasn't sweating it. Better Yao be embarrassed than his master, right? After wandering around a bit, bored out of his skull, Jiang Hao moseyed back to prison. Felt like coming home after a walk in the park. Yep, prison was home sweet home, but after kicking around for a while, Jiang Hao still didn't hear the sound he was waiting for. Where's my system reward? What's the hold up? Jiang Hao was puzzled. Usually, the system chime was right on schedule, so even if it wasn't a holiday, he'd still get his ordinary rewards. He waited until nearly noon. The guards showed up with lunch, but still no system reward. Jiang Hao realized he was probably SOL. Is it because I didn't chill out yesterday? That it dawned on Jiang Hao, he hadn't exactly been slacking off. He'd snagged the special 5-month reward, the Millennium Vermilion Fruit, that morning, gobbled it down, and leaped to the top of the Dharma Image realm. Then, that night, he snuck out of the joint and booked it to the wilderness to hit the Heavenly Man realm. After leveling up, he'd stumbled into the 3 Pekings and thrown down with them. By the time the dust settled, it was already morning, and he was back in his cell. So, yeah, he had worked hard all day and hadn't kicked back. No chill time, no reward. Makes sense, but he was more worried about how this might screw with his future rewards. He decided to take it easy. He flipped on Zhilong's sleeping skill, went into hibernation, let his human emperor body do its thing, and just waited to reap the benefits. The next morning, he woke up, and the system pinged at last. Ding. Laying low for 151 days. Congrats on snagging the heaven-level Aurora sword technique. Along with the chime, a rush of memories flooded Jiang Hao's mind. It was all about the Aurora sword technique. It was a split second, but it felt like he'd spent years learning it. He knew the moves, like he'd been practicing for ages. With a little polish and his top-shelf Qingjiao sword, he'd be a force to be reckoned with. Jiang Hao let out a breath. Guess that meant busting your butt for a day or two now and then wouldn't mess with your rewards later on. But hey, 1 or 2 lucky breaks didn't make a rule. Better play it safe and not overdo it. With that in mind, Jiang Hao didn't rush to practice his new sword skills. First, he dug into the breakfast the guards had brought him, fueling up first, then swordplay. Laying low didn't mean you couldn't do anything fun. The system wasn't that strict. It was all about keeping the right mindset. You had to stay chill, no matter what. No 9 to 5 grind, no overtime. Kick back and enjoy life. Don't stress yourself out, like Jiang Hao. He could do whatever he wanted, in or out of prison. That was the true meaning of slacking off, but he'd gotten used to his cell and didn't feel like moving, and he wasn't invincible yet. If he just up and vanished, it would cause a whole mess of problems. So, to avoid the hassle, Jiang Hao figured he'd hang out here for a while. Life settled back into its groove. Now that he'd hit the Heavenly Man realm, leveling up was getting tougher again. he didn't have any great solution. The further you went, the harder it got. It was the same for everyone, not just him. Actually, his leveling speed was still way faster than most people's. He got system rewards every day, and there were always some elixirs to boost his stats, but even with all that, Jiang Hao had no idea when he'd reach the peak of the heavenly man realm. At his current rate, it would take years to finish the job, unless he scored another 10 or 20,000-year-old red fruits. Regular elixirs and potions wouldn't give him the kick he needed. Heavenly man realm was the ceiling in this world. Any higher, and you'd be scraping the sky. Even masters who practiced their whole lives couldn't reach that level. That's how tough it was. As for the longevity realm that came after, Jiang Hao was drawing a blank. He'd just have to spend his downtime pondering the 5 elements law, hoping to get a handle on it fast. If Zhang Jiao was right, the power of the law was the key to breaking into the longevity realm. Chapter 77. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Days drifted by. Jiang Hao's life in prison continued undisturbed. Outside, however, everything was changing fast. The demon god empire made the first move, deploying millions of troops on Dezhou's border. Dezhou, facing this threat, immediately mobilized its own forces to meet them. Meanwhile, the Golden Horde Khan seemed to have struck a deal with the 7 kings of the north. The Khan sent elite warriors, led by King Samofa, to join the 7 kings' forces. Bolstered by these reinforcements, the 7 kings, who had been on the verge of defeat, quickly turned the tide, regaining lost ground and even launching counterattacks against the imperial army. Other powers across the continent remained quiet for now, but the actions of the Demon God Empire and the Golden Horde alone were enough to put Dezhou in dire straits. The morale boost from the Empress's breakthrough to the heavenly realm evaporated. The great Zhou dynasty teetered on the brink of collapse, one step away from the abyss. Faced with this crisis, the Empress and her court worked tirelessly, leaving no room for error. Even in the imperial capital, the atmosphere grew heavy, thick with the tension of impending war. With war looming, why is the chief constable visiting me today? Chao Xiaobing, commander of the Jinyue, looked surprised to see Wu Anbang, the chief constable of the Shenbu division, enter his office. As the Empress's most trusted subordinate, Chao Xiaobing's career had flourished since her ascension. However, he knew he wasn't well liked by his colleagues. Wu Anbang, a man of integrity who had risen through the ranks on his own merit, was one such person. So, Wu Anbang's visit caught Chao Xiaobing off guard. I'm not here without a reason. I came to see Commander Chao about the massacre at the Imperial Observatory. Her Majesty assigned you to the case, and I've uncovered some crucial clues. I wanted to discuss them with you. Wu Anbang's politeness made Chao Xiaobing wary. He thought, when someone's too eager to please, watch out. He might not be the brightest, but he was cunning, which was why he had risen to the top of the Jinyue and held his position. Her Majesty's given her instructions on that case. We're facing a strong enemy and need to focus our resources. Don't waste too much energy on it. He glanced at Wu Anbang and said, You know who those people at the Imperial Observatory really were, right? They were nothing more than demons disguised as officials. Her Majesty won't admit it, but she's probably secretly grateful to the murderer. After all, they cleaned house for us. But she can't say that publicly. Even if you find him, what then? Do you think she'll punish him? At best, he'll get a slap on the wrist. Save yourself the trouble, Chief Constable. Wu Anbang's expression darkened. He was a man of principle. Right was right, and wrong was wrong. The killer might have inadvertently helped the court, but that didn't excuse their actions. The Imperial Observatory was a respected government institution, and the massacre set a dangerous precedent. If left unpunished, others might take the law into their own hands. What would that say about the court? This incident highlighted the fundamental differences between them. Wu Anbang believed in upholding the law, regardless of who broke it. Chao Xiaobing, on the other hand, was a yes-man who catered to his superiors. In his opinion, the truth didn't matter. As long as the Empress approved, that was all that mattered. This difference in character explained why Wu Anbang, despite his hard work, had been outpaced by the more opportunistic Chao Xiaobing. It was ironic, but Wu Anbang, a seasoned veteran, didn't confront Chao Xiaobing directly. Instead, he changed the subject. To be honest, Commander Chao, Her Majesty sent me north to investigate the Golden Horde's collusion with the 7 kings. But I stumbled upon something much bigger. Oh. What's that? Qiao Xiaobing's attitude shifted. The 7 kings were a constant source of trouble, and the Golden Horde posed a significant threat. Solving either problem would earn him major points with the Empress, and maybe even a promotion. This was a far more promising opportunity than the Imperial Observatory massacre. Seeing Qiao Xiaobing's sudden interest, Wu Anbang hid his contempt and said, "The secret behind Prince Yan's death." Prince Yan's death? Qiao Xiaobing frowned. What does that have to do with this? At first, I didn't think there was a connection. But now I know it's deeply involved, Wu Anbang said gravely. Qiao Xiaobing was hooked. He sat up straight and said warmly, "I'm so sorry, I've been so busy. You came all this way, and I haven't even offered you a cup of tea. Please, sit down. I'll have someone bring some tea." Wu Anbang's lips twitched. Qiao Xiaobing was nothing if not opportunistic. He waved his hand and said, "No need for formalities. Let's get down to business." Yes, let's talk business. Qiao Xiaobing asked eagerly, "What's the connection, Chief Constable?" Wu Anbang had spent his life investigating cases. He understood people well but disdained manipulation. Now, with a simple trick, he had reeled Qiao Xiaobing in. He remained composed and said seriously, "Prince Yan's death was significant. In a way, it marked the beginning of Dezhou's troubles. If we can uncover the truth, we might be able to solve the underlying problem. And according to my investigation, that source lies in an unexpected place." Wu Anbang looked directly at Qiao Xiaobing, his eyes gleaming with intensity. Chapter 78. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Facing Wu Anbang's fiery, golden-eyed stare, Qiao Xiaobing felt a chill creep over him, like he was standing there naked. He was outmatched by a seasoned detective like Wu Anbang, a man with decades on the force. He couldn't meet his gaze, instinctively turning away and swallowing hard. It felt like Wu Anbang knew all the shady things he'd been up to over the years, like he'd already been thoroughly investigated. He forced himself to calm down, then snapped, "Captain, that's a load of crap. What's with all the riddles? Can you just spit it out?" Wu Anbang offered a knowing smile. "This is a long story, Commander Qiao, and it's a matter of national security. Are you sure you really want to hear it? If it's that important, then yeah, I definitely want to hear it. I'm always ready to do my part. Lay it on me, Chief Constable, I can handle anything." Wu Anbang had baited him, and Qiao Xiaobing wasn't about to back down. Puffing out his chest with a grand promise, Wu Anbang stopped playing games and started his story. "To be frank, I went north and quietly picked up a lot of people, some of the King of Yan's inner circle. That's where I learned a lot about the King of Yan. It all started before the King of Yan even thought about rebellion. Sure, he was always ambitious, but the court was riding high back then, so he wouldn't dare to rebel. But that didn't stop him from planning ahead, like taking out anyone he saw as a major threat." Wu Anbang paused and looked right at Qiao Xiaobing. A name flashed in Qiao Xiaobing's mind, and he blurted out almost without thinking, "Duke Weiguo?" "Exactly," Wu Anbang nodded, finally feeling like he and Qiao Xiaobing were on the same page. "It's the Duke of Wei. The King of Yan was always watching him. To pull off a rebellion, he saw the Duke of Wei as his biggest obstacle. So, when His Majesty threw the Duke of Wei in prison, he secretly sent assassins to sneak in and finish the job. He hired the Archbishop of the Black Witch cult." "The Archbishop of the Black Witch cult," Qiao Xiaobing frowned. "He's wanted by the court, a big name on the blacklist, but he's been off the grid for a while. Even when we teamed up to take down the Black Witch cult last time, he didn't show. Where's he been hiding? Maybe he's not hiding. Maybe he's dead." Wu Anbang's words hung in the air. Qiao Xiaobing was taken aback, immediately picking up on the implication. The King of Yan sent the Archbishop of the Black Witch cult to assassinate the Duke of Weiguo. But the Duke of Weiguo is alive and well, and the Archbishop of the Black Witch cult is missing. Something wasn't adding up. That's a stretch. Qiao Xiaobing shook his head, unconvinced. Sure, the Archbishop of the Black Witch cult is powerful, but the heavenly prison is locked down tight. Getting in isn't easy, let alone reaching the Duke of Weigua on the bottom floor. Maybe he didn't even make it past the front gate. And guys like him disappearing for a while. That's normal. He couldn't do it alone. But he was acting on the King of Yan's orders. With all the King of Yan's power and influence back then, wouldn't that be enough to get him inside? Qiao Xiaobing's brow furrowed. Wuanbang's reasoning made a certain amount of sense, but he still didn't buy that the Archbishop of the Black Witch cult was really dead, or that it had anything to do with the Duke of Wei. It felt like a long shot, probably just a coincidence. Wuanbang wasn't discouraged, and he continued. Even though the Archbishop of the Black Witch cult failed, the King of Yan didn't give up. After he started the rebellion, he got another team together to try again. This time, he used the Pope of the Black Witch cult, Helian Feng. The Pope of the Black Witch cult, Helian Feng. Qiao Xiaobing was stunned. He's a big shot. He's stooping pretty low. He may be powerful, but the Black Witch cult's been under the court's thumb for years, and he's desperate. He'd jump at the chance to turn things around, especially with the King of Yan pushing him. But that's not the key. What's important is that besides Helian Feng, he had 3 other masters backing him up. These 3 were Wei Yilong from the Five Poisons cult, Fu Quan from the White Lotus cult, and Jiang Wenhua, a general in the Imperial Army. Hold on. Qiao Xiaobing noticed a familiar name and interrupted. Something's not right. Isn't Jiang Wenhua a general in the court? How's he mixed up with the King of Yan's rebels? Jiang Wenhua may be a general, but he's the King of Yan's man. I've checked this every way I can, and there's no doubt about it. Wuanbang paused, then added, even his brother, the late Minister of Justice Jiang Wenan, was secretly working for the King of Yan. The King of Yan had both of them bought and paid for. Jiang Wenan too. Qiao Xiaobing was floored. As far as he knew, Jiang Wenan had died reporting the King of Yan's rebellion. After all, he'd handled the case himself, personally delivering the blood letter to the Empress. He knew all the details, and according to the testimonies of everyone in the Jiang mansion, Jiang Wenan had been killed by the Archbishop of the Black Witch cult, who also happened to be the King of Yan's man. What was going on? Qiao Xiaobing's head was spinning, the connections too tangled to sort out. Then, something clicked, and he looked up. Could it be, Helian Feng and those other 4 are missing too? Wuanbang met his disbelieving gaze and slowly nodded. Yes. Those 4, 1 big shot and 3 masters, all vanished after that. You could say, they're dead. 1 big shot and 3 masters, all dead. Qiao Xiaobing's head was pounding, but before he could process it, Wuanbang went on. Just a few days later, 3 strange Taoists visited the King of Yan. Then, the King of Yan died, and the 3 Taoists were gone in a flash. Qiao Xiaobing's head shot up, disbelief etched on his face. You don't mean to say those 3 Taoists were sent by the Duke of Wei for revenge? I doubt it. The Duke of Wei's talented, sure, but he's just a civil servant. He has no skills, no power. How could he command someone that terrifying? But it all goes back to the Duke of Wei. What I'm saying is, the heavenly prison might be hiding a big secret, Wuanbang said, his eyes intense. Chapter 79. You are listening at novelfull.audio. So, there's this huge secret locked up in the heavenly prison. Qiao Xiaobing kept turning Wuanbang's words over in his head. He looked calm, but inside, his mind was racing, piecing together Wuanbang's story. He got the gist of it. Setting aside the Jiang brothers for now, the Yan king had tried to have Duke Wei assassinated in the heavenly prison. Twice. First, he sent the Archbishop of the Black Witch cult, a powerhouse in the Dharma image realm. Then, he upped the ante with the Black Witch cult's Pope, Helian Feng, a heavenly human realm master, along with 3 more Dharma image realm heavy hitters. Both attempts failed. Duke Wei was still kicking, and the Yan king's assassins. They vanished. Or, maybe they all ended up dead. Then, before the Yan king could try again, these 3 weird Taoists showed up. These guys were seriously strong, and they offed the Yan king right in his mansion, causing a massive uproar. Putting it all together, Qiao Xiaobing could tell something fishy was going on, especially since it involved Duke Wei Jianghao. That made him even more nervous. He'd worked for the Duke before and was genuinely scared of him, even more than the Empress. If he could avoid visiting Duke Wei in that prison, even if he was supposedly powerless as Wuanbang said, he would. Look, all this is just your side of the story. No proof, no dice, Qiao Xiaobing said, looking up at Wuanbang. Wuanbang nodded. He wasn't denying anything, but there was more. Remember when those Golden Horde envoys went into the heavenly prison? Only Samo Dharma King walked out. The rest died inside. Samo Dharma King claimed he killed them all, but something stinks about that story. I sent a coroner to check the bodies. The report said those guys were killed by a heavenly realm master, but it wasn't Samo Dharma King. Qiao Xiaobing shot to his feet, eyes wide. You're saying there's another heavenly realm master hiding in the heavenly prison? Wuanbang shook his head. He had no idea. The real question is, why would Samo Dharma King lie? Qiao Xiaobing frowned, even deeper this time. Wuanbang pressed on. And that Qintianjian massacre I mentioned? It's connected too, because the last place the Qintianjian chief went before he died was the heavenly prison. He left the prison and returned to the Qintianjian where not only did he die under mysterious circumstances, but everyone else in the Qintianjian died shortly thereafter. Even creepier, the coroner said the chief was already dead before, but he acted normal until he got back to the Qintianjian and just dropped dead. Plus, he'd been acting strange lately, like he was looking for something. Makes you wonder if he found something in that prison, and it brought down the whole Qintianjian. Qiao Xiaobing felt a chill crawl up his spine, like he was listening to a ghost story in broad daylight. It was just a prison, but the way Wuanbang described it, it sounded like a terrifying hellhole full of secrets, a one-way ticket to the grave. Wuanbang wasn't finished. It all points back to one place, the heavenly prison. That's why I think there's a major secret hiding in there. Hell, maybe even the reason Dezhou's falling apart is tied to that place. Qiao Xiaobing's face shifted with each word. Now he got it. This was why Wuanbang came to him. This was way bigger than he thought. The heavenly prison wasn't just connected to the Yen King's death, it also involved those Golden Horde envoys, the King of Satsuma, and the Golden Horde itself. Then there was the Imperial Observatory Supervisor, and the Demon God Empire pulling his strings. Add in Duke Wei. It was a nightmare. The heavenly prison was like this invisible net dragging everyone down. No wonder Wuanbang thought it might be the source of Dezhou's troubles. Now even Qiao Xiaobing was starting to think there was a massive secret locked up in that prison. Then why not tell the Empress directly? Qiao Xiaobing asked, confused. If it was this serious, why come to him instead of going straight to the top? First, all this is just my guess, you know. I can't go running to the Empress without some real proof. Second, and this is the big one, the Empress isn't even in the capital right now. The Empress is gone. Qiao Xiaobing was stunned. He looked at Wuanbang, shocked. How did you know? The Demon God Empire's army is closing in, and the Empress was worried about the border, so she left the capital yesterday and went there secretly to take control. I know because she asked Taiwuk to go with her. Taiwuk was Wuanbang's adopted son. Just like Wuanbang, he was a straight shooter, but his talent was off the charts. He'd already blown past Wuanbang and hit the heavenly human realm years ago. If it wasn't for the Empress, he'd be the brightest star in the kingdom. Hearing Wuanbang's explanation, Qiao Xiaobing felt defeated. Of course the guy had an inside source. The problem was, with the Empress gone, what were they supposed to do? So, what's your play? Qiao Xiaobing asked, desperate. No guts, no glory. Let's go into the heavenly prison together and see what's up. That way, when the Emperor gets back, we'll have something to show him. Wuanbang had this all figured out. Qiao Xiaobing realized that this guy wanted to drag him down with him. Just you and me? He asked in disbelief. According to you, there might be a heavenly human realm master down there. Hellion foam might have gotten iced after going in there. We're just Dharma image realm guys. How are we supposed to stay safe? He shook his head. Why don't we just call in the army and surround the place? No matter what's down there, they can't stand up against thousands of soldiers. But Wuanbang shook his head. We don't know what's going on in there. If we go in guns blazing, we might scare them off and lose our best lead. If they slip away, we'll never find them. So what do you want to do? You and me are dead men walking. I'm not going. Qiao Xiaobing refused flat out. He wasn't about to risk his life. Okay, fine, no army, but we can get some muscle to back us up. Your Jinyui guys are different. You're the Emperor's personal guard. He left in a hurry and didn't take you with him. You've got the 3 Biao and 5 tigers, right? I heard they've been practicing some formation that can lock down even gods. We take them along, and we'll be fine. Wuanbang suggested. Qiao Xiaobing eyed him suspiciously. You seem to know a lot about the Jinyui. Still not enough protection, though. Let's hit up the Gongfeng Hall. If we can get Taoist Qianji to come along, then I'll feel a lot better. Of the court's 3 major violent institutions, Jinyui are responsible for gathering information and supervising officials, and Shenbusi is responsible for arresting criminals and thieves. Only Gongfeng Hall is where real powerhouses gather and is responsible for dealing with those martial arts masters. As the chief worshipper of Gongfeng Hall, Taoist Qianji was a force to be reckoned with. Not only was he a heavenly human realm master, but he'd broken through decades ago. If he came along, no bad guys would stand a chance. Chapter 80. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You want me to tag along to the heavenly prison? Taoist Qianji was floored when he heard why Qiao Xiaobing and Wuanbang had come to the Gongfeng Hall. To be honest, they'd known each other for ages, but they weren't exactly buddies. It's an old saying, people in the same racket are always trying to elbow each other out. The Jinyui, Shenbusi, and Gongfeng Hall, all these agencies answered directly to the emperor. Their jobs overlapped in some areas, so naturally, there were bound to be clashes. Luckily, it was usually the lower ranks who were at each other's throats. The 3 of them were high enough up the ladder that they wouldn't stoop to squabbling over petty stuff. They could manage a polite facade on a normal day, but the real reason the 3 didn't get along was their personalities just didn't mesh. Take Qiao Xiaobing. He was a total suck-up, always brown-nosing the higher-ups and throwing his weight around with the underlings. He kissed his way to the top, and that rubbed people the wrong way. Wuanbang was a straight shooter, the kind of guy who couldn't stand BS. People like that don't usually have a ton of friends. And Taoist Qianji. The other 2 saw him as an old stick in the mud. He was always AWOL when there was actual work to do, and he wasn't exactly pulling his weight when things were quiet either. Bottom line, they'd always looked down on each other, so hanging out was out of the question. So, when Qiao Xiaobing and Wuanbang showed up together, Taoist Qianji's reaction was the same as Qiao Xiaobing's from earlier. He figured hell had frozen over. After the 2 of them explained the situation, Taoist Qianji finally got the picture. So, there's some big secret buried in the heavenly prison. And, you're worried you'll be walking into a buzzsaw, so you want the old Taoist to come along for backup? Taoist Qianji looked at them with a grin. We've laid out the details for you, Taoist master. This thing is huge, could affect the safety of the entire Great Zhou, so we're hoping you can bury the hatchet and work with us on this one. That Wuanbang asked, dead serious. Taoist Qianji's eyes flickered, then he said, sounding helpless, you guys came all this way to ask me, how can I say no? Especially since this thing is so important. But, I had a dust-up not too long ago and took some lumps on the inside. I'm still not 100%. Besides, His Majesty specifically told me to stay put in the capital to keep the riff-raff from stirring up trouble while he's gone. I can't just ditch my post. So, it's not that I don't want to help, it's just that I can't. Maybe you guys should ask somebody else. Hearing this excuse, Wuanbang just looked bummed and glanced at Qiao Xiaobing. Qiao Xiaobing wasn't fazed. He held up one finger and said flatly, 10,000 taels in gold, just for your time. How about it? Taoist Qianji chuckled and waved his hand. Commander Qiao, you've got me all wrong. This isn't about the money. Qiao Xiaobing didn't blink. He held up 2 fingers. 20,000 taels in gold. Taoist Qianji hesitated for a second, but still shook his head. Commander Qiao, you're really selling me short here. I'm not some greedy money grubber. 30,000 taels in gold, and a split of the credit. That's as high as we can go. Qiao Xiaobing stared at Taoist Qianji, eyes like burning coals. If you're still gonna pass, then we'll understand. It's just a trip to the prison. You don't even have to leave the capital. I'm sure there are plenty of people who'd jump at the chance. Hearing that, the hesitation in Taoist Qianji's eyes vanished instantly. He jumped to his feet. Actually, it's not about the money. It's more about you two thinking so highly of me. Of course I'll go with you today. I'm gonna see what kind of monsters and devils are lurking under the Emperor's nose in this city. I'm gonna bring the hammer down for justice. Wu Anbang couldn't help but stare. Taoist Qianji's indignant look was a 180 from his attitude a minute ago. Of course, he wasn't naive enough to think that Taoist Qianji was genuinely moved by their plight. There was only one reason for the sudden change of heart. The price Qiao Xiaobing offered had finally gotten his attention. The truth was, Wu Anbang still didn't fully understand Taoist Qianji. Why had Taoist Qianji joined the court in the first place? Was it out of some noble desire to see the great Zhou flourish? What a joke. He didn't have any grand ambitions. He just wanted a cushy life. As the top dog in the Gongfeng Hall, his career had stalled out, and his skills weren't getting any sharper. All he wanted was a piece of the easy life, and living large takes serious dough. After all, this was the imperial capital where every square foot came at a premium. High-class living took high-class spending. That's why Qiao Xiaobing just offered him a sack of cash. Money was the only thing that would move the guy. Anything else was just hot air. What else do you guys need to get ready? If nothing, why don't we hit the road? After palming the gold notes from Qiao Xiaobing, Taoist Qianji got his professional face on and jumped into action. He suddenly wasn't too hurt to walk, or too busy to leave his post. Qiao Xiaobing and Wu Anbang traded glances and nodded. We're good to go. Let's roll. The three of them took off, and within a half hour, they were near the heavenly prison. 8 figures were already waiting. Commander, seeing Qiao Xiaobing, the 8 men stepped forward to greet him. These were Qiao Xiaobing's 8 most trusted subordinates, the heavy hitters of the Jinyue, known as the 3 Spears and 5 Tigers. The 3 Spears were all at the peak of the Dharma image realm, and the 5 Tigers were at the late stage. More importantly, the 8 of them had trained in a special formation that allowed them to combine their power into a single, overwhelming force, enough to suppress even heavenly human realm experts. They could only suppress ordinary heavenly human realm guys, but it was still pretty impressive. Looks like you two came prepared. With these 8, maybe the old Taoist can take it easy, Taoist Qianji said with a smile, knowing exactly who the Spears and Tigers were. But just so we're clear, whether I lift a finger or not, the gold stays with me. Qiao Xiaobing grimaced. If you can stay out of it, that'd be great. But don't worry, the gold is yours no matter what. Qiao Xiaobing promised. Taoist Qianji visibly relaxed, his smile widening. Just for tagging along, he was pocketing 30,000 taels of gold. This was practically free money. He'd never had such an easy payday in his life. Let's go see what's shaking in the prison. With that, he started moving towards the prison, practically skipping with impatience.